If your business isn't growing at the pace you'd like and you know you've got more potential, but you just can't seem to unlock it, then you may be surprised at how just one simple life upgrade will help you accelerate your growth and catch up to where you know you can be. And this upgrade works for everyone whose state of mind has a direct impact on how much money they make, which of course is everyone in business. But unfortunately, most business people today have more stress, less focus, and lower energy than they did just 5 years ago. The great news, however, is we can reverse this trend. So we've got less stress, more focus, and greater energy. And this leads to accelerated growth, more clients, higher income. Now, they say if you put a frog in a pot of water and slowly increase the water to a boil, that the frog wouldn't jump out and would boil to death. Well, most of us are sitting in a metaphorical pot of water that's slowly heading to a boil, and we don't even know it. Most people over time are slowly feeling worse, losing energy, have less focus, more brain fog, and it's happening in such a way that we don't really notice it. And just like the frog could save himself, by jumping out of the water, we can save ourselves by making this one life upgrade. And I've learned this from personal experience. When I was in my early 40s, I looked healthy. I was doing marathons, triathlons. I was eating what I thought was healthy, but I was having to work extra hard to maintain my mindset, my energy, my focus. And then on top of that, I found out that I was borderline diabetic. And for several years, I refused to believe that this could happen to me. I was in denial. And I didn't change what I was putting in my body. And my doctor at that time suggested a diabetes prescription for prevention. And there was just no way I was going on medication. And then I got my wake-up call. At 48 years old, one morning, after a 4-hour triathlon training, we had breakfast at one of my favorite restaurants. I had an order of huevos rancheros, a double stack of pancakes, and I've always liked mine with extra maple syrup. At home, 90 minutes later, I was dizzy, had blurred vision, my fingernails were yellow, and that's when it finally hit me. If I didn't get serious about what I was putting in my body, my health issues were going to get serious. And I knew I had to make changes. And that's when I switched to a natural whole food diet because I knew that I had to cut out certain foods. And so I did. And look, there were a lot of temptations and distractions along the way. Processed foods and healthy drinks are everywhere. Plus, it can be difficult to be the only one eating natural whole foods when you're with friends and family. But I kept reminding myself that nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. And 2 years later, at 50 years old, I had the lowest A1C since I started getting checkups. But more importantly to me, I had more energy, more clarity, more focus, and felt better than I'd ever felt as an adult. And I literally changed the trajectory of my health and my life because what Dr. Mark Hyman calls the SAD diet, the standard American diet, it leads to brain fog, inflammation, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and other chronic illnesses that a natural whole food diet helps us avoid. So we feel better, we have more energy, more focus. And if you're someone whose state of mind, focus, and energy has a direct impact on how much money you make, then you have better performance, bigger impact, and you boost your income. Because what we eat affects our life way more than what we realize. What we feed our body is feeding our brain. Food and mood are directly correlated. Also, the narrative that as you get older, you have to have less energy, it's not true. That story is only true if you're eating the SAD diet. You can have more energy, more focus, and feel better than you've ever felt by changing what you're feeding your brain and body. And so there's 2 simple steps you can follow to make this life upgrade. First step, cut way back and preferably eliminate processed foods. About 60% of all processed foods are sugar and starch. And when we eat sugars and starch, our cortisol goes up. and cortisol is the stress hormone. So our bodies have the same reaction as if we were being chased by a bear when we eat the cereal, the bagel, the processed pasta, the ice cream. Processed foods are full of sugars and starch, and there's an entire domino effect that you get. You get a spike in your blood sugar, which spikes your insulin, which spikes your cortisol, your adrenaline, which affects the liver and screws up your cholesterol. And if that wasn't bad enough, all the available fuel that's in your bloodstream from the sugars and starch, it's driven down a one-way street into the adipocytes. And those are the fat cells around the belly. And that lowers your metabolism. It locks the fat cells, causing your body to store fat. And then you've got a whole different set of chemicals that are released. You've got hormones and inflammatory messengers. They go to your brain and affect your neurotransmitters and create inflammation in the brain. And there's a lot of research that shows that food is the biggest driver to dysfunction in our brain when it comes to mood, behavior, attention, memory. And look, one cookie isn't going to kill anyone, but the average American eats almost a pound of sugar and flour a day. And what the research shows is that sugar and starch disconnects the frontal lobe from the amygdala. The frontal lobe is the adult part of our brain, and the amygdala is the lizard brain. And the sugars and flours disconnect these two parts of our brain, and the lizard brain takes over. And so we think, feel, act, we speak, we perform totally different when the frontal lobe is in charge versus the amygdala. So a simple way to feel better, to have more energy, more focus, better performance is to reduce, preferably eliminate processed foods. Now, second step to have more energy and better focus is look at food as medicine. Start thinking about the impact that everything you put in your body has on your body. We're literally programming our biology with every bite of food we take. And most people don't think about the connection between what they eat and how they feel, or between food and the sicknesses that are so common today. And it's really this lack of understanding that has created the growing dependence on doctors and drugs. And if we divided Western medicine into two groups, you would have conventional medicine and functional medicine. And in conventional medicine, thinking stops at the diagnosis. In functional medicine, thinking starts at the diagnosis. Functional medicine is the science of creating health and focuses on the root cause of the disease, and food almost always plays a role in the cause and cure. Every bite of food either upgrades or downgrades our biology, our hormones, our brain chemistry, our immune system, microbiome, mitochondria. Everything is controlled by what we're eating, which is why there's a health crisis, a mental health crisis, an immune crisis, obesity crisis, and chronic diseases like cancer and diabetes and heart disease and Alzheimer's and dementia are all being linked to the food we're eating. So step 2 to have more energy, more focus, feel better, and perform better is look at your food as medicine. And I know a lot of people get confused on what to eat, and it's actually simple. If it comes in a bag, a box, a bottle, and it has ingredients that you can't pronounce, don't eat it. If it didn't grow in the ground or on a tree, don't eat it. If it was sprayed with chemicals, don't eat it. If it was raised on an industrial farm and pumped full of hormones so it would grow faster and fed antibiotics so it would stay alive, don't eat it. If it was genetically modified, don't eat it. Eat the way God intended for us to eat, not the way massive corporations, food chains, and big pharma profit when we eat. And if you want to dive deeper into this, get Dr. Mark Hyman's book, The Pegan Diet, which has great insights, research, recipes, as well as a lot of do's and don'ts. By reducing processed food and by treating your food as medicine, you're not just lowering stress, increasing focus, and boosting energy, You're opening doors to a life of heightened clarity and accelerated productivity, which is going to expand your impact and increase your income. And so again, thanks as always, for joining me in this video and on this journey towards greater impact. And if you found value in this video, give it a like, share it with someone who may also benefit from hearing this. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, where I'll share another simple life upgrade that will help you accelerate your growth and unlock your potential. Until then, stay focused, stay present, stay impactful.